So, we're going to talk about volume today, and the first thing you learn with volume is a new what? Formula. A new equation, a new formula to use. You need to make sure that you have that formula written down in your notes. Take the time to write everything that you see up here. The volume of a prism, the volume of V equals the prism of a prism. Write it down just like you see it. Okay. If you'll notice, this formula looks a little bit like the surface area formula. There's some things that you've seen before, right? B is the what of the base? It's the area of the base, just like it was before. H is the height of the prism. It's the distance between those two shapes. What don't we need to have finding volume that we did have to have for surface area? Does anybody know? If in doubt, look back at the surface area formula, or think about what the surface area formula says. What don't I need to have? Not pi, but what? The what? The perimeter. I don't need the perimeter. Okay? Perimeter was in the formula for surface area. It's not in the formula for the volume. Means volume should be what? Easier or harder? Easier. Should be easier. Should be less steps. Now, I want you to make an effort to draw this shape, and I'm going to tell you how to make an effort to draw it. 3D shapes are hard for some people, and I'm going to tell you they don't have to be. So watch. Notice there's a triangle out here in front. Draw a right triangle on your sheet of paper. Draw that right triangle. Draw another right triangle that's just like it, a little bit up and to the right. If you've done that, all that you have left to do then is connect the corresponding points of your triangle. Everybody see that? Yeah. Is it that hard to draw? Yeah. All prisms can be drawn by drawing that base shape, drawing another base shape offset from it, and connecting the points. And the biggest thing that makes mine look different than theirs... Yeah, you're good. I will. I'll back it back up. Are you ready? The first thing we're going to do... Yeah, you're fine. You got one more line to draw in. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the right triangle that was there on the front. Okay? That's what we're going to do. We're going to draw a right triangle that's there on the front. We're going to draw another triangle just like it. We're going to draw it a little further back and a little bit to the right. Okay? I've got a shape recognition tool on right now. And from there, all we are going to do is connect the points of the triangle. Did you see the line you're missing? Back up. Two identical triangles. Do you have those two drawn? Draw two triangles. And then connect the points of your triangle. Now, if you did that, label it like you see the one that's labeled over here on the side. Hold it up. Yeah, I can't see if you've got, I think you're missing this line that's here in the back. Yeah, I think you're fine. Yours is a little hard to see, but you're all right. Yours is great. Right? That's fine. Yours was just too lined up. That's what made yours off. Set. Yeah. Everybody understand kind of what to do?
I can't put the numbers down.
Right. You're good.
JW? Okay, I can't put the numbers down right now.
Okay. When you're putting the numbers down, this value right here is the one that is 24. This is 7. This is 22. And this was the line that was missing.
It's just ignoring random.
And now it looks more like it's okay? Now. Yeah. Okay. I wanted everybody to get in the habit of drawing the 3D shape. Because there were a lot of people yesterday on the quiz that didn't draw the 3D shape. They only drew it after I separated it out. And although that works if you have a 3D shape in front of you, if that's all you have to go by at home is the 2D shape, you miss a piece of what's taking place. Now, just like yesterday, the first thing we're going to write down is what? The what? The formula. Volume equals capital B times H. Volume is equal to base times height. The second thing we're going to do is identify what the height is. What's the height in this picture?
22.
It is 22. We're going to identify that height. If all you do is separate out the two-dimensional shape, you miss where this 22 came from. And so that you can see it, I'm going to trace out this base that's on the front. Okay? This one on the front and this one are what? They're the same. And the distance that this has to travel to get from the front to the back is the height, which is this 22 that's here. Okay? The first step is here. The second step was here. The third step is to what? Separate out that base shape. Because this is where B is going to come from. We need the area of this base shape. And I'm going to put the numbers in on this triangle that are here. Notice, they didn't give me the third side of this triangle. That would be a problem if I needed the perimeter. Do I need the perimeter this time? No. I'm just going to do base times height divided by 2 because it's a triangle. Notice I used a lowercase b. Here I used an uppercase b. This is the base of the triangle. This is the area of the triangle. There's a difference. The base of the triangle is 24. The height of the triangle is 7. And I'm going to divide all of that by 2. Okay? 24 times 7 divided by 2, I believe is 84. So, the fourth thing that we actually did was calculate what? That base area. What's the last thing we're going to do? We already have it. What are we going to do now?
Multiply base.
The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to find the actual volume. What do I replace this B with?
84.
What do I replace this H with?
22.
And I'm going to take 84 times 22. 1,848. Now, The difference is going to be partly in the units as well. This is not meters squared. This is meters cubed. We're no longer talking about covering it up. We're talking about filling it up. Not just the length and width to cover it, but we've got to fill it, the length, the width, and the height. That makes sense to everybody? So the process of doing surface area and the process of doing volume are very much the same. We write down formula. We find the height. We separate out the base shape. We find the part of the base that we need. In this case, we need the base area. We plug that information back into the formula to find the volume. Everybody ready to go on? Question? 24 times 7 was 168, divided by 2, 84. Why did we divide by 2? Because it's a triangle, not a rectangle, right? If it was a rectangle, the whole piece would be there, but it's a triangle, and so really, a triangle like this, how much of the rectangle is there? Half of it. That's why we divide by 2. Makes sense to everybody where the formula came from? Okay? Everybody good with this? So the end answer was this. All of this is important for the process, showing those steps. Can I go to the next slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anybody need me to wait?
No, sir.
Okay. Please copy down the words that are up there. Anytime you see a word problem that's talking about a geometric shape, instead of writing the formula down first, the first thing I would recommend that you do is try to draw the shape. So we're going to do a drawing real quick. Okay? It says it's a trapezoidal prism, which means I want to draw a trapezoid to start with. Take the time, draw a trapezoid. If you've drawn one trapezoid, take another trapezoid just like it and make it overlap it. You see it? I made them overlap each other. Are you with me? Understand what I did? And then we are going to connect the corresponding points of the trapezoids. Okay? I drew two trapezoids that basically looked alike, right? And I connect each corresponding point of a trapezoid and that gives me my prism. Okay? Now, again, I don't expect yours to be exactly the same as mine. Now we're going to talk about what they gave us in this figure. They said the base of one of the trapezoids was 7, that the other base was 5. So the bottom was 7, and the top of it is 5. They said the height of the trapezoid, or the distance between the two bases of the trapezoid, was 4. And they said the height of the box, in other words, the distance between the front trapezoid and the back trapezoid, they said that was 8. Does everybody understand why there was 2 heights listed? One's the height of the prism, and one's the height of the trapezoid. This 8 is my height. They gave that to me. Second,
What's that like? Is that like a number in the shape?
it's 4.
Oh.
The distance between here and here is 4. Okay? First thing we did was draw it. The second thing we're going to do is write down what? The formula. The third thing we're going to do is make sure that we identified what? The height of the prism, which they gave to me. The fourth thing I'm going to do is separate out that base shape, which was a trapezoid. This was 7. This was 5. And the distance between here and here was 4. To find the area of a trapezoid, we have a formula. You should have it memorized by now. The formula for a trapezoid, for finding the area of a trapezoid. 1/2 h b1 plus b2. I'm still finding the area. I'm still finding the area of this trapezoid. 1/2. What's the height of the trapezoid? 4.
What did I say in the parentheses?
B1 plus B2. So we have 1/2 of 4, the height, and the 2 bases are 7 and 5. Well, half of 4 is 2. 7 and 5 is 12. So we're going to do 2 times 12, which is 24. And the last thing I'm going to do is take 24, my base, times 8, which is my height. All the measurements were in inches, so my volume is in inches cubed. All 3 dimensions, the length, the width, and the height. Everybody understand how to find the volume of this prism? Pretty good? I can go to the next page. No. Okay. By the way, you can draw. Listen, you can draw it, but you don't have to. Make a note. Make a note that this is number 7, page 291. Just make that note so that you can tell where this is coming from. Okay? It really isn't that bad, but for the sake of time, you don't have to draw it. Just make a note. This is number 7, page 291. Okay. Okay. Listen. Although there's more than one way I can do this, I want you to see that there's basically 2 prisms here. There's a rectangular prism and a triangular prism. Everybody see it? So, we're going to find a volume of the rectangular prism. We're going to find the volume of the triangular prism. And what are we going to do with these 2 volumes? We're going to add them together. Okay? What's the formula for volume of any prism? V equals capital B times H. Okay? Now, on this problem, when I go to separate out my base, I'm going to have to separate out 2 different bases. I've got to separate out this base and I have to separate out the triangular base. Everybody with me? Do you understand what I did? Yeah. No, you're going to need to draw which part? You don't have to draw the 3D shape, but you need to draw what? You need to draw at least the individual pieces. So that you can see I separated this out of this picture that was in your book. Now, remember that the height is the distance between these bases. How far is it from the front of this shape all the way back here to the back? 30 inches. And it happens to be the height for both pieces are the same. Okay? Everybody see that? I'm going to put the dimensions that they gave me in my picture. How do I find the area of my square? Multiply by 13 by 13, which is 169. How do I find the area of my triangle? 13 times 9 divided by 2. Which is 58.5. Now I can find the volume of my rectangular prism. I can find the volume of my triangular prism. And I can find the volume of the overall by adding them together. What do I put in for my base on my rectangle? 169 times the height, which was 30, 5,070. Okay? The triangular prism, what do I put in place of B? 58.5. What do I put in place of H? 30. Which is 1,755. And I add these 2 pieces together. 6,825 inches cubed is my volume.